Good evening, everyone, and welcome to Notre Dame Day 2015. I'm Jack Nolan, and you're watching a 29-hour global celebration of all things Notre Dame. We'll be here under the dome in our La Fortune studio broadcasting live around the world for the next 25 hours, and we hope you'll be joining us for all the incredible stories we have in store. Now, you may know me from my shows Inside Notre Dame Football with Brian Kelly and Inside Notre Dame Basketball with Mike Bray. They're actually the coaches' shows. I just kind of get them to move along. Now, my co-host this hour, once again, is Abby Wellner, Notre Dame class of 2005. Abby, great to be working with you again.
Thanks so much, Jack. 2005 sounds so much longer ago. Every year I come back. This is my second Notre Dame Day, and I'm so excited to be sharing the anchor desk with you and to be learning so much about my fellow alum as they go through this experience and the stories that we've heard. We've gotten to go know so many of them, and last year was a ton of fun with Notre Dame Day, and we're doing it bigger and better this year, and that goes double for all of those Notre Dame stories we're bringing you.
2005 seems like a long time ago to you, huh?
It does.
I graduated from college in 1981.
Well,
Moving right along, last hour we heard from NFL player Golden Tate, former Notre Dame star, a physics professor who is detecting art forgeries, a Notre Dame alum recognized in the Forbes 30 Under 30, and we had two amazing performances from a couple of Notre Dame student groups.
and that was just in the last hour alone. We've got so many great stories yet to come in this hour and throughout the rest of the show. And we'll be hearing from Brady Quinn, one of the best quarterbacks in Notre Dame history. We'll go out to the deck of an aircraft carrier to talk with a Notre Dame alum who commands a fleet of ships in the Navy. And we'll learn more about a current Notre Dame student who's bringing sunshine into the lives of children with cancer. A lot of great stories to tell.
And we'll have some Notre Dame design students who are going above and beyond to make a difference in South Africa. A business major who is on the front lines in the fight for the sanctity of life, and another Mendoza student who overcame unbelievable adversity on his road to Notre Dame.
You really don't want to miss a minute of our show. Part of the reason is that Notre Dame Day viewers get to help the university give away an extra $1 million. Tell us a little bit about how that works.
It's really quite simple. Each time you log on to NotreDameDay.nd.edu and donate just $10 or more, we like more, but $10 will get it done, you'll be able to cast votes for the clubs, residence halls, academic units, and teams of your choice.
That's right, and at the end of the broadcast, the more votes a group gets, the bigger the percentage of the $1 million it receives. With this system, your $10 donation could possibly turn into $100 or more. There's really nothing like Notre Dame Day in the world.
Now, your $10 donation gives you 5 votes. Each additional donation, another vote. Notre Dame Day is a great opportunity to maximize the effect of a gift. So we encourage you to take a moment to get online and vote. But enough talk about the voting. It's time to get into the show. After a short break, Abby will be sitting down with a Notre Dame student whose determination to make it to Notre Dame allowed him to conquer incredible obstacles. Notre Dame Day will be right back after this break.
Caring for someone with cancer is a humbling and emotional experience, but it can also be incredibly inspiring. My first wife, Bernadette, died of breast cancer while still quite young, and several years later, my mother passed away from leukemia. Seeing the resilience they exhibited forever changed my life and the course of my research.
Professor Tom Merluzzi is the director of Notre Dame's Lab for Psycho-Oncology, and his work focuses on improving non-medical treatment for cancer patients and survivors.
The psychological and social aspects of treatment are so important, but are not routinely a part of patient care. This is especially true for cancer survivors who face a host of psychological and physical challenges and who battle clinical depression at a rate twice the national average.
Professor Merluzzi created the Cancer Behavior Inventory, an internationally recognized measurement tool that evaluates a patient's ability to cope with cancer. Using the tool, researchers and clinicians can better identify a patient's strengths and challenges and provide them with more tailored treatments.
By applying the personal, social, and spiritual aspects of Professor Merluzzi's research, we have supported thousands of people affected by cancer over the years.
Professor Merluzzi's work in this field has motivated me and other researchers worldwide to learn from those who are doing well in treatment and recovery and apply it to those who are struggling.
Every day working on this research, I'm reminded of the strength of my mother and my first wife. I hope I can honor their memory by giving people the tools they need to face cancer with that same resilience.
The University of Notre Dame asks,
What would you fight for?
Fighting for those touched by cancer.
We are the Fighting Irish.
An Irish blessing. May the road rise up to meet you. May the wind be always at your back. May the sun shine warm upon your face, and the rains fall soft upon your fields. And until we meet again, may God hold you in the palm of his hand.
We are the University of Notre Dame.
The birth of your child is supposed to be the most joyous event in your life. But for me and my wife, the delivery of our second son, Nicholas, quickly turned into a nightmare.
While in labor, Angela Knight suffered an embolism. After an emergency C-section was successfully performed, she began to display uncontrolled bleeding. It became clear that if we didn't get her the right type of blood transfusion quickly, she wasn't going to make it.
I was in shock. At the same moment my newborn son was taking his first breath, doctors were telling me my wife was bleeding to death.
At the University of Notre Dame's Keck Center for Transgene Research, Professor Frank Castellino has developed cutting-edge blood analysis technology to help save the lives of trauma patients.
Physicians treating acute trauma-related bleeding need to make quick and accurate decisions as to what products to give and when to give them. The technology that we developed provides rapid real-time measurements, enabling the correct blood products to be delivered to each patient.
In the case of Angela Knight, we were able to use Professor Castellino's work to properly transfuse her with the correct blood products, stop the bleeding, and ultimately save her life.
It wasn't until 4 days after his birth that I finally got to see Nicholas. If not for the research done at Notre Dame, I never would have had the opportunity to hold my son.
The University of Notre Dame asks, what would you fight for?
Fighting to improve trauma care.
We are the Fighting Irish.
Welcome back. Takashi Yanagi and his mother immigrated to Iowa from Tokyo, Japan when he was very young. In high school, Takashi lost his mother to cancer, leaving him on his own to figure out how he was going to pay for college. But he never lost his determination to make it to his dream school, Notre Dame. Takashi, thanks so much for joining us. And I'm just going to start with why was this your dream school?
I took an interest in business in high school, and I wanted to study at one of the best programs in the country. And location-wise, it was perfect for me. And when I visited over spring, I fell at home, and so I knew Notre Dame was the school for me.
We were talking about that right before we came on camera, that it really does just sort of click when you arrive at the right place. And you, however, had a really intimidating task ahead of you. You needed to figure all of this out on your own. How did you do that?
I almost didn't have a choice, and I had to figure out all the finances out, and I had to somehow afford for a Notre Dame education. And so I applied to hundreds and hundreds of scholarships, and I was fortunate enough to get over $170,000.
$170,000 in scholarship money. That's incredible. You said hundreds of scholarships that you applied to, and any in particular that stood out?
Katie Couric's Dream Award is one of my top scholarships, and I'm so grateful for her, and she was so nice and supportive when I was on her show.
And tell us a little bit about that experience. What was it like?
She sent 11 of students out who are in similar situations as me with financial needs, and she was just so caring, and she genuinely wanted us to succeed in life, and so I'm so thankful for her support.
And you said 170,000 is your number now. You're a junior. Are you still applying?
I'm never satisfied. You know, I always apply it and see if I can graduate debt-free, and that's one of my biggest goals in life.
That's a heck of a goal and a very worthwhile one. Aside from graduating debt-free, what's next for you?
I'll be in San Francisco this summer working at an investment bank, and so I'm very excited.
Okay, you made it to your dream school. What's your dream job?
my dream job would be to focus on healthcare and somehow see improvements in that industry and see a cure for cancer in my lifetime.
It's an admirable goal and one obviously inspired by your mom. I'm sure she's incredibly proud of you. Has Notre Dame lived up to your expectations?
Oh, and much more, yes. I love it here, and this is one of the best decisions I've ever had coming here.
And you're in Morrissey?
I am in Morrissey.
All right, so will you stay on campus for your senior year?
I'll be going off.
Oh, you're going to do it. All right. Well, everyone will miss you on campus, I'm sure, but we're very excited to see what the future holds for you. Congratulations on how far you have come, and we look forward to seeing what comes from you next.
Thank you, Abby.
All right, we'll head back to Jack at the anchor desk. Jack?
All right, Abby, thank you very much. Our next guest is coming into our studio from a port in Perth, Australia. That's right, Rear Admiral Christopher Grady, Notre Dame alum, is coming to us live from the deck of the USS Carl Vinson aircraft carrier. Welcome to the show, Rear Admiral. It's an honor to have you with us tonight.
Thanks, Jack, and we're talking to you from the war room of the Carl Vinson. We just dropped the hook here in Perth after 6 months of delivering nearly 600,000 pounds of justice on the head of the evil that is ISIS. So we're really glad to be here with you after having served the nation admirably. Still got some work to do, but we're glad to be with you today.
Well, and we are all thankful that you and your crew are out there defending American interests and fighting evil all around the world. Now, I know you are not the only domer on that huge aircraft carrier. You have some fellow domers with you, I understand?
I do. I'm joined today by Lieutenant Kristen Ayala. Maybe you can see it here. She is a Navy industrial hygienist here serving the 5,300 sailors that are on board Carl Vinson. And I'm also here with Lieutenant Tom Fagan. Tom is a naval flight officer who flies the E-2C Hawkeye and did great work in that fight against ISIS that I just described.
Now, Admiral, how did you end up at Notre Dame?
Going into the Navy was probably not an option for me. It's been the family business for a long time. In fact, one of Tom's classmates is my son Nick, who is also class of 12 and graduated from NROTC with him. Nick's fifth generation, and I'm fourth. So I had my Naval Academy appointment. I had my NROTC scholarship to Notre Dame. And when it came down to it, what I wanted was a little bit of the Notre Dame exceptionalism that comes from an academic program as great as you can get at ND. I was also a varsity fencer, and the opportunity to fence with legendary Coach Mike Tachiko was something that weighed very heavily in my mind in making that ultimate decision.
Mike Tachiko, certainly a Notre Dame legend. You, of course, graduated from Notre Dame, and I looked at your resume. We don't have time to talk about all the tremendous responsibility and positions you've held in the Navy, and you are now in command of Carrier Strike Group 1. How many personnel, how many ships are under your command right now?
Sure. Carrier Strike Group 1 is about 10,000 people. It includes Carrier Air Wing 17, which is 9 squadrons of airplanes. It includes the flagship Carl Vinson, from which we are broadcasting today. It includes 2 air defense cruisers and 8 destroyers. We deployed with a subset of those, so there's about 6,000 of those folks here with us. The rest are back in San Diego preparing for their own deployment.
Can you give us a little bit of a window into what it's like to have the kind of responsibility that you have?
Well, it's a daunting challenge, but one that I relish because I've been very, very well trained. That started with my time as a NROTC midshipman at Notre Dame, and it also that training began with all the larger thinking that I did at ND, both as a history major, but just ethically in terms of learning how to do the right thing. I've been doing this job for 32 years. It's the most rewarding thing that I have ever done. And to say that we've been able to deliver over 500,000 pounds of ordnance and justice in our last campaign has meant the world to me. Just as importantly, however, though, is bringing everybody home safely. And now that we've exited theater, I know we still have about a month and a half's worth of work to do as we work through Western Pacific. But I'm delighted to say that the back pressure of bringing everybody home safely out of harm's way is one that I don't have to deal with anymore. Flying is a dangerous business. We've got a lot of flying left to do, but so there it is.
Where is the home port for the Vincent?
San Diego.
So when will you be there? About 6 weeks, I think. You said you have about a month of work left to do?
Yeah, that's right. We deployed the 22nd of August, and we get back the 4th of June, so it's nearly 10-month deployment.
Can you tell me a little bit what it's like to command the fine men and women that you do? I know one of the great pleasures of my job, because of the terrific ROTC program that Notre Dame does have that you've already touched on, is I get to meet not only some of your fellow graduates, but many of the young men and women who are in your command. We had Navy SEALs on campus last fall, and I just admire them so much. They really are the best and brightest of our country.
Yes, sir. That's very, very true. I would tell you, again, over 32 years, this is the finest cadre of young men and women, the products of our high schools, of our community colleges, and our great universities like Notre Dame that I have ever seen. They keep you on your toes. They ask all the right questions. They are fully and totally committed. As you know, this is an all-volunteer force, and so they're all here inspired by the mission. If I could, I would tell you that if you look at 100 graduating high school seniors in college, and you take away those that have various issues, we're down to about 25% of those that we can recruit into the Navy, and those are the same folks that industry and college go after. So, again, it is the most highly trained, motivated, and dedicated group of individuals that I've worked with in my 32-year career.
Admiral, as we wrap this up, I have to ask you, what is the week of the Notre Dame Navy football game like for you and your fellow Domers when you're serving on an aircraft carrier?
Well, I would tell you that anybody who's worked for me or with me knows that Navy, that Notre Dame football is an interesting time for my staff. I start worrying on Wednesday, and if we lose, I'm disconsolate till Tuesday. So they pray for the season to be over. Now, Navy is a special week. It's not as important to those of us here as Michigan was, but Navy is a special week because they're still cling to the reality that perhaps they can compete with us on the field. And so we hear about it quite regularly, day in and day out, as we lead up to the game. It's an honor to play Navy, no doubt about it, and I'm glad that we continue to do that. But there is a lot of good-natured rivalry that goes on. My goal was to go my entire career without losing to Navy. Of course, that ended after some 24 years in 2007. But we started another streak, and I know that 9 times out of 10, we're going to beat Navy as long as there's no things like chop blocks and cut blocks and things like that, which we all complain about. I'm sure Coach Van Gorder's got all this figured out, though.
I think he does. Admiral, thank you so much for the time. Thank you for what you do. And please let every member of your crew, Notre Dame grad or not, know how much everybody at Notre Dame appreciates what they do to protect America all around the world.
We'll do that, and go Irish.
Thank you, Admiral. Now let's send it over to Abby, where she's waiting with 2 design students who are using their talent to make a difference in South Africa. Abby?
Thanks so much, Jack. I was just telling these ladies here how intimidating it is to be able to interact with all of these talented alum and current students from one end of the planet to the other. And I am joined right now by Hannah Chiarella and Holly O'Hara, who are both graphic design students involved in a class called Design for Social Good. It gave them a chance to have a real impact on the lives of others. So welcome to the show, ladies. I'm so excited to hear about this project. Hannah, tell me a little bit about what Design for Good means.
Well, the world we live in today is based a lot on visual communication, and we're constantly bombarded with graphics everywhere. So it's taking responsibility for those graphics and making a change with those, and it's a tool that we can use both like domestically and internationally to make differences. Our class has worked with the South Bend Center for the Homeless and abroad as well, trying to use design to make some sort of change.
And it sounds that both of you have had a tremendous impact. Holly, tell me a little bit about the project that you all were working on with the pediatric AIDS population.
So we came into the class August of last year, and like Hannah said, we worked in local South Bend community, but we were also tasked with learning more about HIV/AIDS in South Africa. It's been a really current problem for the past decade and a half, and so we were learning about the different graphic ads that people have tried, why have they succeeded, why haven't they succeeded, and what could we potentially offer here and now from Notre Dame with our graphic skills.
Obviously using your skills to really make a difference in the world, and I understand you actually got to travel to the area where you've been working with from campus. So tell me a little bit about that experience, Hannah.
It was definitely a huge change. I mean, you can definitely read about a place as much as you can, and it's never going to be the same as visiting it. So it was a huge learning experience. We saw things in real time, what did and didn't work, how people reacted to what we had done, hearing about how HIV and AIDS have affected their communities. It made it a lot more personal to talk to different people and, you know, see someone else's experience and know that you're designing for not just, you know, a general population, but it can be for that individual person and how you can change one person's life.
That's such a good point you make, Hannah. It does make it more personal once you're there. So Holly, we all know you can plan something down to the last detail, but until you get there, you never know what you're going to be dealing with. Did your plans change once you were on the ground?
Oh, boy, did they. So yeah, like I said, we researched from August all the way until March, and then you go, and within 24 hours, everything is different. So the project that we're working on is a wallet for a place for people to keep their pills. It kind of is a practical place where you can keep them with all the other things that you highly value in your life. So we came down there with this idea. Of course, materials changed, what materials are available, what are people looking for, what do they already have. So it was a lot of flexibility on the ground, kind of asking really basic questions just to start from what they need and then kind of add our ideas to that rather than bring our ideas and say, here's what we want to do. So yeah, it was really, really vital and really incredible that we got to be there and meet so many people, form those relationships, and also get such valuable feedback.
And I'm sure you did form amazing relationships. Do you feel like having this extraordinary experience as a college student has better equipped you for what you will do in the future?
It puts life in perspective, and I think it makes us motivated to, you know, do more. And so, I mean, we plan on continuing the projects in the future. I'm returning for the summer to keep working on things, and I think we're all just excited to see what we can do, and it's not just with this project, but, you know, design in general. We've learned that it has a lot more impact than you can think of.
All right, so you're going back this summer. Have you decided what your next steps are yet? I know you're a senior, and that's the dreaded question.
It is. I'll actually be committing to 2 years of service, so I'm kind of veering more on the social good, and I'll see how I can incorporate design into that, and hopefully merge the two for a professional career. So.
Well, it is a pleasure visiting with both of you ladies, and thanks so much for the amazing work you're doing and building a great reputation for Notre Dame around the world.
Thank you.
Thank you so much. And coming up after a short break, we'll be talking with another Notre Dame student who is trying to affect change a little closer to home. Don't miss it.
On August 6, 1995, Paraguayan soldiers showed up at the home of the Maciel family and took away their 15-year-old son, Victor Hugo. 2 months later, military officials brought his dead body back home.
In his tenure as chairman of the Inter-American Commission on Human Rights, Notre Dame law professor Paolo Carrazza was instrumental in improving the protection of the rights of children in Paraguay and throughout the Americas.
The forced recruitment of child soldiers into the Paraguayan military had been a common practice for decades. Achieving change required understanding the obstacles that the government faced, and then working with those government officials who were willing to change.
In 2006, through Professor Carrazza's diplomatic efforts, the Paraguayan government publicly acknowledged human rights violations and enacted legal reforms to outlaw the enlistment of child soldiers.
Como representante del gobierno, Doña Francisca.
Pensava que era rogado isso pela unha botella. E milagro bico.
At Notre Dame, we're trying to teach our students that law isn't merely an exercise of power. It has a larger purpose. That purpose is to serve the good and dignity of human persons.
The University of Notre Dame asks, what would you fight for?
Fighting for human rights. We are the Fighting Irish.
Welcome back to Notre Dame Day. I have a new co-anchor. No, this is our special guest for this segment. Her name is Noreen Fisher. She is a Notre Dame junior and finance major who organized Notre Dame's participation at the recent Right to Life March in Washington, D.C. Noreen, welcome to Notre Dame Day.
Thank you for having me.
Talk about everything that went in to organizing this march. I know Notre Dame had a huge contingent at the march.
Yes, they did. So we had 692 students participate this year. And first of all, none of this would be possible without, we had a March for Life team. The administration is very supportive. We have supportive alumni, especially the alumni club in DC, as well as people from like St. Agnes Parish in Washington.
And there you are with a nice group of fellow marchers.
Yes, that's me and some of my friends on the March for Life. And really planning starts over the summer, and we get the logistics side of things worked out, but then we want students to come. So we have a strong marketing campaign. We really get the word out there about the March for Life, and students have been excited about it, and numbers have been growing every year.
I know it's a huge initiative, obviously, for the University of Notre Dame, and not only do they provide transportation, but they also encourage faculty and staff to go, and if faculty and staff, if you can't go with the students, they even provide a stipend. I think it was $500 for faculty and staff to join the students and travel on their own and help cover those costs.
They do. And the Center of Ethics and Culture, they've been a great supporter of our group and even giving that funding to faculty and staff to be able to join the students. And they're a big reason of why we can keep the cost to $35 per person for basically 4 days in DC, which is amazing for a college student's budget. So,
how did you become the leader of this event this year?
So my family and parish back at home is very passionate about the pro-life cause. And they have encouraged me to kind of keep that with me throughout my life. And when I came to Notre Dame, I knew I wanted to be on the Right to Life Club, and I went to the March for Life my freshman year and was so inspired not only by the hundreds of Notre Dame individuals who were there, but the hundreds of thousands of people from across the country. And sophomore year, I was like, I need to get more involved. So I was in charge of the marketing campaign, and then I had the opportunity for my junior year to actually be leading it, and I had a great team with me, and we were able to do some great things. So.
And of course, this is an educational institution.
Yes.
You were there to promote a cause that's near and dear both to Notre Dame and the Catholic Church. I imagine you got to do some other things as well. And there's a lot of Notre Dame people who work in Washington, D.C., who are part of the government. What are some of the more interesting experiences you had in addition to participating in the march?
Yeah, so we actually had a tour of the Capitol because we have a Notre Dame connection there, which was great. So we got to take a group there. We kind of framed the trip also as a pilgrimage, so we were able to go to the Pope John Paul II shrine, the Shrine of the National, or the Immaculate Conception, where Bishop Rhodes actually had Mass. So he gave a little shout out to Notre Dame and all the students who were there. But like you said, it's our nation's capital, so not only are we there to promote life, but they also had the opportunity to basically see our nation's capital, which is great.
I can sense your enthusiasm. I can tell how organized you are, so congratulations on putting together a terrific trip for Notre Dame folks.
Thank you.
Thank you. Very nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you too.
Okay. Now we're going to go to Laura, who is out and about with another interesting segment for you. Laura.
Thanks, Jack. It's my pleasure to introduce Bella Capella, the premier a cappella group at St. Mary's College. And joining me now is Nia, the group's music director. Nia, what will you guys be singing for us tonight?
We will be singing Bottom of the River by Delta Ray.
All right, take it away.
Hold my hand, ooh baby, it's a long way down to the bottom of the river. Hold my hand, ooh baby, it's a long way down, a long way down. If you get sick or if you get mad, God's gonna call in the morning, baby. Check the cupboard for your daddy's gun. Red sun rises like an early warning. The Lord's gonna come for your firstborn son. To the river where the water runs, wash and sleep where the tides are turning. And if you fall, hold my hand. Oh, baby, it's a long way down to the bottom of the river. Hold my hand. Oh, baby, it's a long way down, long way let that fever make the water rise. Oh, I said, hold my hand. Ooh, baby, it's a long way down to the bottom of the river. Hold my hand. Ooh, baby, it's a long way down, down, way down. Hold my hand. Ooh, baby, it's a long way, long, long, long way. Hold my hand. Oh, baby, it's a long way down, a long way down.
Thank you for that awesome performance, ladies. And now back to Jack at the anchor desk.
All right, Laura, thank you very much. And joining me now on the phone is a guy you all know and love, former Irish All-American Brady Quinn, Maxwell Award winner, Heisman Trophy finalist, one of the greatest quarterbacks in Notre Dame history. He set 36 Notre Dame records when he was here. Brady, thanks so much for taking the time tonight.
Jack, thanks for having me on.
Always a pleasure to have the opportunity to chat with you. Does it seem like as long ago as it was that you were taking snaps here for Notre Dame?
You know, time flies, and it does feel like it's been a little while now. And believe me, those days they're tough. I mean, you miss the memories, you miss all the relationships and all the people that you came across during your time at Notre Dame, and that's the biggest thing. It's all the people that make that place so special.
Now, I knew you were smart, and you reaffirmed that by deciding to get into broadcasting, where you don't get hit, and you get paid really decent money to explain the game of football, which you know as well as anybody. How do you think your first season with Fox went? Because I know you got rave reviews.
Yeah, it went well. I mean, obviously, to the standpoint that they're offering me another contract now, so I'm currently in contract negotiations with that, but not closing the door on football yet either. Still working out, still hoping for an opportunity, but if not, you know, I know that's probably going to be the next career that I pursue at this point in time.
And I know you took part in our first this year. They had their first Veterans Combine, and you went to that. What was that like?
Well, it was kind of reminiscent of, you know, the rookie combine that everyone goes through as you're going through the draft process initially out of college. But, you know, it was a little bit unorganized, which a lot of times that tends to be the case with the first year they do something like that. But it was a good experience, and I was glad the NFL decided to do it. It gave a lot of veteran guys who were, again, hoping to get on with teams an opportunity to perform in front of them and a lot of the higher-level executives because of the owners' meetings out in Arizona that week. So all in all, it was a good performance, and it was a good time to be out there working out in front of the teams.
You, of course, were a first-round draft pick of the Browns back in 2007. You've played for 6 teams, and I don't think fans really understand how tough it is to break through in the NFL, especially at the quarterback position, where once guys get established, they don't go anywhere for 10 years, 15 years, sometimes even longer. Just talk about how competitive it is at the quarterback position in the NFL.
Oh, it's extremely competitive. I mean, a lot of a lot of dictating how people's career goes comes down to situation and circumstance. And you're drafted into, you know, a team you're not necessarily able to pick like you are when you're selecting the colleges you'd like to go and play at. So you're drafted into a team in a situation. There's a lot of things that are out of your control. Turnover with coaches, turnover with front office executives and so forth, even ownership. All those things, you know, go into play a part, you know, in your performance as a quarterback and even the personnel. That was probably the toughest thing to get adjusted to, was always adjusting to new players, new wide receivers, things like that, because you rely on being able to have a rapport with them and being able to anticipate things before they happen. But it's hard when you don't really know guys very well. I mean, guys are coming in off the street as free agents or on a year-to-year basis, whereas college, you have that opportunity to kind of build that over the course of, you know, 3 or 4 years.
I know you can spend the rest of your life announcing. I personally am glad that you're trying to give it another shot at the ripe old age of 30. And first of all, what does it feel like to be 30?
I feel old. I feel like when I'm waking up, some of those hits I took back in college are I'm starting to feel them now. But, you know, I still feel good. It's crazy to think how fast time's flown by. I still remember being 18 years old and getting on Notre Dame's campus and just being completely overwhelmed by the beauty, but then just felt so accepted and so loved by the student body there. I mean, that has to be the thing to me, and I always say it's the people, it's the relationships, but it's the student body, it's the spirit of Notre Dame that kind of lives on that campus that makes that place so special and always such a near and dear place in my heart.
And what impact has your experience at Notre Dame had on both not just your professional football career, but your life after college?
Well, I decided to start a foundation with my father, actually, where we make homes handicap accessible for veterans. It's called the Third and Goal Veteran Home Aid. We came up with that about 4 years ago, and we've really been trying to, reach as far as, Seattle to do different projects. When I was with the Seahawks, we did a home renovation out there. I've done some work in Florida and Ohio. Really all across the country, we do different, gifts. So, Notre Dame brought to light, to me, just the opportunity to be able to give back and try to, build something that's bigger than yourself and help people, outside of yourself. So for me, being that my father was a Marine in Vietnam and spent time in the military, that was the best way that I felt was closest to my heart to give back, was to be able to help out our veterans.
You are a shining example of the Notre Dame student-athlete experience. I always tell people that's what Notre Dame does. They produce outstanding student-athletes who excel on the field, in the classroom, and in life. And that's what you're doing. You're giving back to your community. As we wrap this up, though, we all want to see you back on the field this fall. So what kind of response are you getting right now when you reach out to teams? Because, again, you can announce forever, but you can also make a very good living not only as a starting NFL quarterback, but the guys who are signaling the plays and helping out and ready to go in to back up the starter, you can make a pretty good living doing that as well.
No, there's no doubt about it. Obviously the competitor in me always wants to play and always wants to be the guy behind center. But I think if you can get yourself into a backup role, that works as well, especially from a financial standpoint. But at this point with the draft being so close, a lot of teams are going to be looking to try to fill the rosters with whatever they want to fulfill in the draft. So we'll see what kind of is left after that. But that's kind of the feedback we're getting right now. And again, as much as I'd love to go back and play and hope for that opportunity, at the same time, I know there's something else there for me. And really when it comes down to it, there's nothing that will ever compare to my experience at Notre Dame. It's such a unique place. It's such a treasured experience that, that will forever be my best memories of football, even if things had gone, better than I had anticipated or better than they have gone for me so far in the NFL.
Brady, it's always a pleasure to talk with you. I know you make every effort to get back on campus, and look forward to seeing our cross paths as soon as possible in the future. Thank you.
I look forward to it, too. Have a great night.
All right, Brady, thank you very much. When we come back, we'll be heading back to the performance stage for a little friendly competition between dorms. But first, this brief timeout.
The world needs a university that educates men and women who accept their responsibility to serve others. We will strive to build a community where education, inquiry, and faith combine to respond to the demands of justice. This is our goal. Let no one ever say that we dreamed too small.
We're here at the performance stage where residents from St. Edward's Hall and Zom Hall will be taking part in a heads-up trivia game to win a prize for their dorm. And let's meet the guys.
Tommy Davis, sophomore from St. Edward's Hall.
Kevin, freshman, Zomhouse.
Ryan Brickner, freshman, Zomhouse.
Brandon Ryan, freshman, St. Edward's Hall.
All right, and let's start with St. Edward's. You guys are up. Take your places. All right, you guys ready? 3, 2, 1, go.
People stay here. It's the hotel on campus.
Morrison.
Yes. Brandon's in charge of this. They lost their game the other day.
Bookstore basketball.
I think you gotta really flip it. There you go.
This is the dorm bathroom.
P. Pastoral East.
All right, 30 seconds.
This is the statue outside of the library. It's also a call-in.
Touchdown Moses.
It's half right. When you get past
10 seconds.
First down Moses.
Yes. This is the hall. There are the bullfrogs.
All right, time is up. Good job, guys. Let's see if the Zom guys can beat your score. You guys want to switch places? You guys did well. It's a lot of pressure. This is a live broadcast here. You can't make this stuff up. So we're gonna switch it over so that the Zom guys can get a chance. All right, 3, 2, 1, go.
This is the oldest dorm named after the founder of the university.
Soren?
Again.
If you're passing, you gotta flip it the other way. Yeah, there you go.
The football coach that won the national championship in 1988. Old guy.
Holtz?
Yeah.
Wow, this guy knows his history.
Pass. No.
I think we got some
Pass.
cheaters over here.
Pass. Pass. We sing it at the end of the game. Everyone locks arms.
The alma mater?
Down. Good.
All right, 10 seconds, guys.
It's where the dome is.
The main building?
All right. They're really big. They're on.
Time is up. Well, let's see the final count. It looks like Zom won with 4 votes. Congratulations, guys. You can go accept your prize, and let's welcome the women's teams up on stage. Thanks, guys. Good job. Good job. So we have women from Ryan Hall and Welsh Family Hall. So if one from each can stand on either side of me. All right, why don't you guys go ahead and introduce yourselves.
Hi, I'm Becky Warnhoff, a junior in Welsh Fam.
I'm Katie Cobian, a junior in Ryan Hall.
I'm Erin Clark, a junior in Ryan Hall.
I'm Martha Murphy, a freshman in Welsh Fam Hall.
All right, and if Ryan wants to step up first, take your places. You've seen how it's done. I think you guys probably picked up some strategy techniques. 3, 2, 1, go.
We were just there last night, legends.
Hip hop night.
Your password, computer password.
Brady Quinn.
49ers.
Joe Thugman. Joe Montana.
Oh no, there's a malfunction in the game.
What do I do?
Oh no. Well, you guys are doing well so far. Should we start over? Okay, we're gonna start over because you guys were doing so well. Why don't you give the iPad back and we'll start over. Wow, so now we all know her computer password. So
Brady, I'm a big fan.
We just had him on the phone. You should have said hi.
Oh, John, I just missed you.
All right, so we're starting over here. Okay, 3, 2, 1, go.
Legends.
Hip hop night.
Computer password.
Brady Quinn.
It's just instant replay here.
49ers.
Joe Montana.
Church, God Quad.
Basilica of the Sacred Heart.
St. Ed's.
The God Quad.
No, it's in the Chicago event.
Yacht Dance.
Shamrocks.
McGlynn.
Author, famous, movies, romantic books.
Oh, The Notebook. Oh.
Correct.
Oh.
You got this.
Oh. No.
Pass. We had one in November in the main building. Founding Father.
Father Soren.
Regatta.
Fisher.
And not north, but
south. Dining Hall.
Great job. Time is up. Let's have Welsh fam take their places and see if you can beat that score. That was pretty impressive. Good job, guys. You guys.
Fun fact, we were roommates last year.
I couldn't tell. All right. The Welsh fam girls are up now. Going to try and beat that impressive score of 9 correct from Ryan. So here we go. Countdown. 3, 2, 1, go.
He was a famous defensive player, almost won the Heisman, Hawaiian.
Manti Toyo.
Yes. It's our brother dorm next year. They're on South Quad.
Dylan.
Yes. Again. It's where Pascagoula East, Pascagoula West.
Mod Quad.
Yes. Oh, it went away. Sorry. Okay, it was today. It's a Keenan event. Yes. He's like a famous TV show host. There's a theater named after him in DPAC. It's like someone in Kelly. Okay. It's where it's not South Quad. It's
North Quad.
yeah. It's on all the way on the end. They're brother dorms with Carol. It's a women's dorm.
Lions.
Yes. It's where all the big classes are. It's
Deep Art.
yeah. They're like in the marching band. They're really tall. They wear the hats, but they don't play an instrument.
I don't know.
All right, time is up. Let's see, what was the final count for Welsh fam? Oh, this is suspenseful right here. Oh, they just missed it, so it looks like Ryan Hall, you guys are our winners. Good job. And they got some fans here too. Now back to Abby in the studio.
Thanks so much, Laura. Inspired by a summer volunteering program at Camp Sunshine, a camp that facilitates holistic healing for terminally ill children and their families, Sarah Enciso pursued a research position in the radiation oncology lab at the Dana-Farber Cancer Institute in Boston. There she's had the unique opportunity to observe scientific innovation in a clinical setting, as well as continue to focus on the impact of illness on the community. Sarah, thanks so much for joining us. And
thank you for having me.
I have to admit, we've been sitting here chatting for quite a while. You are studying and working on projects that are very near and dear to my heart. I work at a pediatric hospital now. Tell me a little bit about Camp Sunshine and how you wound up there.
Camp Sunshine is a nonprofit organization. It basically is seeking to provide a support system for terminally ill children and their immediate families. So these families are coming from around the world. They're at every stage of their illness. And it's a beautiful, beautiful campus that gives these kids kind of a week to just be kids. It's a wonderful, wonderful place.
And we were also discussing the fact that so many times people will hear about these experiences and their immediate reaction is, oh my gosh, that must be so incredibly sad. But it's quite the opposite. You said it just radiates joy there.
It does, it does. You walk on and it's just hopeful. It's just all these people coming together, and it's just a community that I feel so grateful to be a part of. It's just from the minute you start talking to them, it's like whether you're a volunteer, whether you're a family member, whether you're, a support system at any link in the chain, you're just a part of this family, and it's fantastic.
And what was your link? What did you do?
I worked for 8 weeks with kids of various ages. I was coordinating activities that were educational, team building. Some of the weeks I was a one-on-one counselor, so I was assigned one specific child. And that kid might need a little bit extra help navigating some of the activities. And that was such a privilege to be able to work with like one kid and get really, really close to them over that week.
And I'm sure you can't possibly have an experience like this without it really impacting what you do moving forward. What effect has Camp Sunshine had on the decisions you're making about your future?
I know that camp was completely instrumental in really deepening my appreciation for how important patient interaction is, and especially that social dynamic of healthcare. And so I know even in terms of my studies, I came in as a biology major, which gave me that underpinning of biology for like understanding disease. But I added psychology because I really feel that it's that human contact that's at like the core of studies, whether that's in the classroom or moving forward into more of a career.
And you're not stopping just in the continental U.S. by any stretch of the imagination. You have a really exciting project ahead. Tell me a little bit about what you're doing this summer.
I will actually be in India. I'm going and I'm interning with Child Family Health International. So basically I'll be spending 4 weeks working with public health and then 4 weeks studying the integration of Western medicine and traditional Indian healthcare. So I'll be able to see kind of holistic healing on a whole different level in the Himalayas, actually, so in rural India. So I'm very, very excited for that.
And you're going to have such an incredible base of knowledge going forward, and not only knowledge, but experience. What do you want to do next? You talk about kind of wanting to integrate the psychological aspects with the scientific aspects, but is there one thing, one really big goal you have in mind?
Well, really moving forward for me, I've been very struck by the public health side of things and really being able to speak for patients and give patients a voice that don't necessarily always get recognized. And so moving forward, I would really like to pursue law and actually unite a law degree with public health. So do kind of a JD MPH and get into healthcare advocacy.
A couple years ago, you were a senior in high school looking at where you were going to go to college, and you wound up at Notre Dame, obviously for good reason. What has changed or evolved for you over the time that you've been here? Did you have these ideas when you came in that you would study in India and work with children with cancer? What has changed and what has Notre Dame impacted?
I had no idea coming in that I would do any of those things. But Notre Dame has really, the minute you step on campus, they're just encouraging you to like develop your passions, discover your purpose. And I feel that the support system here at Notre Dame, they really just like challenge you to like reach and see where things go. And so it's just been an unbelievable experience that I'm completely grateful for.
Have you had a lot of fun while you're here too? Because you've done some really meaningful projects. Have you made time to enjoy the dorm competitions and everything like that?
Oh yeah, the community at Notre Dame is outstanding. So whether that's playing broom ball with my friends or going dancing or interning, I work at St. Joe's, which has been really, really great too. So it's just definitely a multifaceted experience, and I wouldn't give up any part of it.
I have been so overwhelmed by the students I've met here tonight. You guys are really amazing representatives of this university. Thank you so much, Sarah. Good luck with everything you have ahead of you. As I said to someone else, you don't need my best wishes, though, because you've got your path laid out for you. Thank you so much, Sarah. And we're going to head down to the social media lounge. Guys, what's going on there?
Hey, thanks again so much. Jonathan here joining you from the Social Media Lounge. A lot of excitement, even though we're nearing the midnight hour. Voices of Faith is getting ready to make their big appearance and their big entrance. So thanks to everyone who has been a part of the Notre Dame Day broadcast so far. It's been an amazing evening. Still prime time on the West Coast, so make sure to get those gifts and votes in. Click the Give and Vote button. Send a text 80076 ND to 80077, and you can help distribute our $1 million challenge fund. Let's take a look at the leaderboard. First of all, we're almost at 6,500 gifts, just a staggering amount. Thanks to everyone that's gotten involved. Thanks to everyone who has begun to go out, talk to your family and friends, fellow classmates, old classmates. It's been just amazing. We encourage you to keep it up. I want to focus now on where we're at with residence halls. I know there's been a ton of chatter on social media with residence halls that Mickey's going to get to in a second, but it's kind of like a 5-horse race right about now. We got St. Ed's Hall at the top, 855 votes, almost $35,000 where we stand right now. Then Morrissey, then Alumni, 656 votes. Stanford Zom with 391, Stanford with 335, Fisher with 328. The one thing that's missing here is Dillon Hall. I'm a man of Dillon. And to see Alumni with this many gifts and Dillon not even on the board, come on, guys. Let's go Big Red. It's time to get out and get the vote out for Dillon Big Red. So that's my shameless plug for the men of Dillon. Anyways, let's take it over to Mickey, who's over by the social media wall. She can tell us what's going on. Mickey.
All right, thank you, Jonathan. Can you feel the competitive juices flowing? I'd like to just point out one thing about that last hour, though. It was, if nothing else, it was inspirational. Talk about Camp Sunshine, talk about the impact of design and helping others around the globe. Pretty inspirational. And as Brady Quinn said, it really gives you an essence of the spirit of Notre Dame. Speaking of Brady Quinn, he was our photo poll last hour. Again, similar to John Bon Jovi, too close to call. So we're going to bring back the Brady Quinn photo poll later in the broadcast. However, for this next hour, join us in voting for your favorite Irish tradition. Tell us, friends, is it the jig, done by the students in every home football game, or is it the victory clog? Tell us now. Vote now on NotreDameDay.nd.edu. Let's check out the social media boards. And as Jonathan said, the residence halls are lighting it up. We see a lot of activity out there. You've got Knott Hall, as we've said before. As Jonathan said, you have Alumni Hall. You've got Morrissey Manor, really in the thick of it, St. Ed's. What I love, though, was you saw Duncan Hall a few seconds ago saying, come on, Duncan, help us break into the top 50. Currently at, I think, about 68. Other things going on here. You see recognition of the great things going on through the interviews. So a lot of recognition about the interview with Brady Quinn, a lot of inspirational moments there. As Jonathan said, here's your big Alumni Hall reminder. Check out, click, and vote for Alumni Hall. I love it. People are taking pictures of current scenes in the Notre Dame family that they love today. favorite memories from a nostalgic perspective that bring back really their great Notre Dame moments. Get those out, get them on Twitter, get them on Facebook, get them on Instagram. Remind your friends and family why they should help you vote. NotreDameDay.nd.edu. Up here, again, you've got academic units, you've got athletic units, student activity groups. Get your votes out there, get it on social media, mobilize those families, mobilize those networks, and we promise your activity, your group, it's going to rise in the leaderboard. We've got a long time here, folks, about another 24 hours. Get those votes in, mobilize the groups, and get that activity and that chatter going on social media. Just a quick reminder, we're going to go back to a couple of videos. We've got Voices of Faith coming up, and we'll be back live with the broadcast at the top of the hour.